Madam Chair Lady, firstly, allow me to thank you for, in addition to this particular document registered here at Parliament, to also provide the members of this committee, and I believe maybe all of the members of Parliament, but in any case, the members of this committee, with some other source and reference documents regarding the issue of tobacco use and proposals and initiatives to limit the use of tobacco. So thank you for providing those documents. And there are other documents on the topic as well. As you mentioned, Madam Chair Lady, there is a initiative draft law going back some years ago with respect to updating our outdated tobacco law, so to speak. That's the initiative there. Allow me at this time to explain further your reference to a citizen initiative. And correctly, as you stated, Madam Chair Lady, we don't know of that instrument yet. In Parliament, the procedure is that if a member of Parliament submits an initiative draft law, and that member is subsequently no longer a member of Parliament, then rather, the faction of that member can pick up the draft and continue with it. That's the procedure that we use if we have an initiative draft from a member of Parliament. As mentioned, we have before us a draft initiative from a citizen, and I want to take this opportunity to thank Mr. Revan for his efforts in this respect. And unfortunately, or not really unfortunately, rather it is what it currently is, and that is that our draft laws are expected to be in the Dutch language. Something that I have been clamoring that we address from the root, and that is namely to give the English language an elevated status between our two official languages, which are the Dutch language and the English language. But that is a topic, that issue of giving an elevated status to the English language based on our Constitution, that is a topic for another debate. I come back to the issue at hand, Madam Chair Lady. And so we have this draft updating of our tobacco law, limiting, of course, the use of tobacco amongst our population. And I think that is what our focus should be on, while we members, individually or collectively, decide about the draft before us. Let us deal with the matters that the draft sought and seeks to address. And that is to bring our tobacco law, our smoking law, as some people call it, more up to par with current thinking, especially where the public health aspect is concerned. You refer to the issue of vaping, and yes, Madam Chair Lady, for the last couple of years, I, with successive ministers of especially public health, have been discussing this matter of vaping amongst our population. I don't have to, I think I would be preaching to the choir to go into the details of what vaping does, not because I say so, not because other persons think so, but scientifically proven what vaping does to the brains of especially younger persons. That is an established fact.
based on the research that I have done, it seems like the vaping became very interesting under the youth because you have several flavors connected to the vaping. From persic to mango to strawberry flavor. And I've seen a rise when those flavors came out that the youth started to make use of those vapes more. So maybe it's also an idea to look into prohibiting the selling of those flavors, because that can also make a big difference if it's the vapes without flavors. And I know, for example, in the Netherlands, I think it was in January 2024, that was introduced, and there was a big difference in the numbers of making use of the vapes. So that's just something that I also want to contribute to, that once there are no flavors more involved and there's it's prohibited to sell vapes with a flavor, that can also have a positive effect on the youths not making use of the vapes anymore because it's not interested to them anymore. So that's my contribution for now.
Thank you.
After reading the document, it's a very interesting one, as it is, as MP Westcott Williams mentioned, with regards to the content that it's in English. That was one of my comments. And also that St. Martin is a very small island, but with a great population. I do understand the draft initiative and also stand by it. But as Parliament, we need to work in collaboration with the necessary stakeholders. We also need to have the enforcers enforce when it comes to selling these devices to underage individuals. I can tell you, based on experience dealing with a cancer patient, a family member of mine, who basically got lung cancer, whose voice box was removed, vocals was removed, and saw how that individual had to suffer because of smoking. Vaping, smoking, it all goes in one. And as a small population, I think we need to crack down on it, especially among our youths. To each their own. If you're an adult and you choose to allow cancer to be your demise based on smoking, I do not smoke, I don't stand by it. And I think as a leader of this country, in order for us to have a more healthier young generation coming up, we need to do something about this legislation and not only have a discussion, but that we move forward to the next step where we can enact in having this legislation become a reality.
I've always had an idea of solving a problem by attacking it from different fronts and also the consequences of it. Okay, so I went through the document. As my previous speaker also mentioned, it is in English, so that was one of the questions that I would have asked, is this something that could actually happen, or does it still have to be translated? And where are we going with that? But what I was thinking more that I'm missing, we are watching just the age, okay? When I think of a problem, I think we need to pay attention to from the beginning to the end. So we start at import. Where's the control on import? Then we speak of the sales. We speak of the use, the prevention, the cure, the addiction, and how are we going to care for the related sicknesses for this specific problem that we have. Now, I would be a hypocrite not to mention that I know of a smoke shop in Simpson Bay that I first saw a 18+ sign on, and then sometime last week I saw a 21-year. And I was like, hey, so I made a call, I asked, why did you do this, And the reply was simple. A lot of the vapes has on it 21-year plus. So my question would have been, why are we, if the focus is so much about the vapes, why don't we push right away for 21-year plus? That would have been one of my first questions, and definitely with the support from the other members of parliament, if we're going to deal with a situation, let's grab it properly and move forward with it. Then, Madam Chair Lady, and most of you have already heard me mention the idea of finding ways to create a state-of-the-art cancer center here on St. Martin, okay? We are talking about the consequences of not only vaping, but tobacco, okay? And I am still seeking an audience with the Minister of VSR, and maybe even with this committee. Again, I don't want to be pushy, but I think this is something that is extremely important as we continuously hear of individuals dying from cancer. And it doesn't really have to be totally because of smoking and tobacco, but we have even forgotten hookahs. It is the same thing like vaping. Mm-hmm. So we speak of the vape cigar, you know, the electronic cigar, but wherever you go, there's hookahs. So again, I've always had the feeling that we tackle things halfway. And I suggest if we're going to deal with a problem, that we deal with it from the top and the initial all the way to the end. What are the consequences if someone gets cancer? Okay, how long does it take for this individual to be able to have proper health care? Okay, and I'm going to divulge something that, you know, took me by shock, you know, less than 2-3 months ago, is where I started to feel a lump in my chest. So seeing that cancer is something that many of my family members, especially on my mother's side, have died from or suffered from, you know, I got worried being the age that I am. So I requested an appointment with the doctor in October, and literally in January, halfway February was the date that I got an appointment with the doctor. Now, if this was a cancer that was very aggressive, the chances of survival for myself would have been maybe none. I've seen people get diagnosed and in 3 months they're dead. So again, as legislators, my suggestion would be that we take this by the horn and deal with it from A to Z. Not only the age, carrying the age from 16 to 18, let's put it to 21, let's check the import, let's check the sales, let's look at those vapes, for example, that have higher risk for cancers scientifically. Madam Chair Lady, the Member of Parliament, Ms. Westcott, has a lot of information that she could also share with us, and we could continue doing the research. But let's do this properly. Let's do it properly. Let's not just do it for a show. Let's do it because we want a better St. Martin for our people.
Are you SXM insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXM is cardless. Request your My SXM account today and enter the virtual office of SXM. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXM, yeah. Your social health insurances.
everyone. We're here with the Saigo Foundation, where we're in preparations, are actually doing the legwork for next year's conference, a medical conference, first of its kind to be hosted in St. Martin. And these are the type of conferences we look forward to having in St. Martin, something unique, something different, where we can collaborate and bring more tourism to the island.
We would like to also thank the Steiger Foundation for their donation of the CPR dolls, to which would be distributed within schools and also certain organizations in order to help not only medical professionals but also students on how to help save lives. It is very important that we present these, especially within the schools, to give the young people an opportunity to learn a different trade, something that will benefit the country of St. Martin, especially in times of disaster, in times of need.
My name is Noemi Stagger. I'm the Vice President of the Björn Steiger Foundation, and we're very delighted to be here today to hand over these CPR dummies to help to save more lives on the island of St. Martin. And yeah, we are very happy to see more trainings happening here, and looking forward to save more lives.
To this matter. But I would like to say that if the referendum law needs to be established, the good MP, the senior MP in this parliament, I would like to thank her for that great initiative on bringing this draft to parliament. What is more important to me is the time frame for this draft to come to the floor of parliament for discussion. It's unfortunate that I had triple functions when taking office as a member of parliament, so I am not a committee member or was aware or understanding how these committees are set up. But I would also like to have my input as a representative of this country, even not being part of the committee, to have a say when it comes to private conversations. It is important. Why I find this legislation is important in going forward onto a referendum for the people to decide whether or not they would like to remain in the status that we are in or in a status of independence, because we are in dire need of a constitutional change. When it comes to our justice system and our financial system, we all understand how it goes from the Netherlands to St. Martin. Right now, our prosecutor office is predominantly individuals that do not know our culture, and it is time that we as a parliament stand up and do something about it. Again, I will reiterate that our justice system needs to be revamped, needs to be restructured, as when I see in our correctional system, I only see our people. It is important that the justice ministry and the justice system itself be revamped, like I said, and also that we own up to our responsibility as a country to be also self-sustainable, that we have been talking about regenerating funds for this country. So moving forward, we should not have any more, I won't say senseless discussions, but come to a common understanding that we need to move forward in seeing this law, referendum law, comes into fruition, and that we give the people an opportunity to decide what they want, as we are 15 members that represent them.
The part that for me is a bit still not clear, because once that is done, what MP Peterson said, then we still have to have a debate in Parliament to see if Parliament wants to have a referendum. Is that's correct? But I feel we're doing a lot of things that it could be expedited if you ask me. I understand following structure, but at the same time as the structure is just repeating things that has already been said or discussed, I think is uncalled for, and to a certain extent certain things. But anyway, with that being said, the question of adding myself to a committee, I would like to know what I'm adding myself to first. So I'll await the presentation by the former committee members before I sign up for a committee. Thank you.
it's getting a little bit confusing for the people of St. Martin as to how we are going to move forward, especially when we have a request from the One SXM Foundation. And the issue that we have here is exactly what MP Westcott said. We don't have a referendum law. And I think that that's what's being misconstrued right now. We cannot reach a referendum about independence legally. If we do that right now, it's illegal because you don't have a referendum law. And this is what this committee was trying to do in the first place. First of all, establish a roadmap to referendum, meaning the referendum law. That's number one, that's general. But the other committee that consists of me and MP Heiligenmaten and MP George Pantoflet, that was concerning decolonization and the changes in the charter. It's a two-way streak. So to reach to the topic, you also have to regulate the law first. And that's why the first committee, when it comes to the road to referendum, that committee was separate. And I agree, that committee needs new members to continue because in that committee, I believe is where the draft referendum ordinance should come, as per the law. Our Articles 92 to 96 of the Constitution are very, very clear. And Article 96, it even gives it like a scapegoat article. It says, alles wat verder het referendum betreft, wordt geregeld bij of krachtens landsverordening. Every single topic that has to do with a referendum has to be through a national ordinance. So we cannot reach to what is the topic of a referendum when we have not given the framework for a referendum. But that doesn't mean that we cannot do it at the same time, because that's where the committees come into play. When you look at the recommendations that came from the expert panel, the two recommendations for the two political committees were, the first one was about civic engagement. Now, when you look at the law, when you look at what a topic for a referendum has to be, the law says that Parliament would have had to make a decision on it already, meaning that Parliament would have had to say, we want to go independent. That's what the law is saying. So we as Parliament needed to have reached to that point first. And now the question is, how do you put it in a framework to reach to that point as a Parliament that we indeed want independence? We have not established that. And that was where the recommendations from the experts came into play. You bring the petite committees, and one of them is about civic engagement. Why? Because then those members in that committee, we need to now go out there. We need to talk to the One XM Foundation. We need to talk to the Pro League Foundation. We need to talk to the people to find out if indeed this is the field. We want to actually ask the people about independence or not. And then we bring it to the floor. We bring it to the floor and we debate. Like MP La Cruz said, we debate it and we bring it to the floor and we come to a decision. Once that decision is made in corresponding with an already established referendum law, then we can reach to a legal referendum for St. Martin. Until we do that, guys, any referendum or the discussion on it is going to end up in an illegal, unlawful decision by us as a Parliament of St. Martin and also the government of St. Martin. So if we do the job, and it might take a little longer, but if we do it right, then we can actually box out many more referenda in the future, not only about independence, but on any topic that is to be van maatschappelijk belang, as per Article 93 of the Constitution. But it starts here. It starts here. That's the point I was trying to make.
The proposal before Parliament right now, before this committee, so agenda point number 2, fact is that while Article 92 of the Constitution is mentioned, while we know in the Constitution which topics cannot be put to a referendum, our Constitution also states what can be put in a referendum. And it forces the government or the Parliament to make a decision on the topic, and then that will be put to the people. So it puts the emphasis, one, not only that the initiative lies with Parliament for a referendum, but also for the Parliament or the government to debate a topic, and before making a final decision, now this topic can be worded in a draft national ordinance, or it is considered a topic of importance for the entire population of St. Martin. And if a topic gets that designation, then the Parliament can decide it will be put to the people in a referendum.
SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXV, yeah. Your social health insurances.
It's time for a new brand that is as bold, vibrant, and colorful as the island of St. Martin, with colors drawn from our diversity, cultural heritage, and nature. Our breathtaking beaches, waters, and sun, the majestic brown pelican, our national symbol, the radiant yellow sage, our national flower, the historic border monument signifying the Dutch and French sides, our exciting cruise, yachting, and boating ports, renowned Maho Beach and St. Martin Airport, the hub to the Caribbean. All these parts come together to create the shape of the island of St. Martin. More than a logo. It's a new brand that engages, excites, and will inspire travelers to book. It's time to tell the St. Martin story, to reintroduce travelers to St. Martin, to honor our past, to embrace our present, and shape our future. Our culture and diversity, Dutch and French sides, unrivaled cuisine, twice the nightlife, entertainment, and shopping, cruises, boating, and yachting, twice the adventure, exploration, and relaxation, splendid and scenic accommodations, Pinel, Tentamar, and island hopping in the Caribbean. Whatever your taste, St. Martin has more. Experience twice the Caribbean. St. Martin.
Several of Antigua and Barbuda's roads are in dire need of repair, and the government says it's time to fix them, but at a cost. The lower house has passed the Vehicles and Road Traffic Amendment Bill 2025, paving the way for higher licensing fees to fund a major road repair plan.
Even if we did not have a specific purpose, and we had decided that after 30 years a realignment was necessary, and it was going straight into the consolidated fund without any specific purpose, there would not have been anything unreasonable about that. But the fact that we have a problem with our roads, and that our government is actually prioritizing the spending and ensuring that the proceeds of the bond are utilized exclusively to advance the repairs and construction of our roads, then you can see that this is for the benefit of all.
This will allow the Transport Board to show positive revenue, something needed to secure a $100 million bond from ACB and ECAB. But while the government insists this is necessary, the opposition are firmly against it.
I assure the member for
Rural West can attest to the fact that $5 is too much for some people in our constituencies. They just don't have it.
The opposition is also questioning the Transport Board's transparency, noting its last audited report was in 2018. But the government says the new bond agreement will have built-in safeguards to ensure proper accountability. Works Minister the Honorable Maria Brown says much has changed since the last increase 3 decades ago.
This administration, might I remind you, has afforded the people of Antigua and Barbuda the opportunity to own a piece of the rock in thousands. So now you have many new subdivisions that has happened within the last 10 years. And within those subdivisions, you have roadways. And so we're adding to the amount of roads that need to be done, need to be created.
The new fees, $100 more for motor cars and a 40% increase for larger vehicles like SUVs and heavy-duty trucks. The government argues it's a small price to pay, but the opposition warned businesses will pass on the cost.
It's not just $100, it's a negative compound effect because you raise ABST from 15% to 17%, and I just outlined the other taxes, the plethora of taxes that you would have imposed on them. Life is hard for them, that's what they're saying.
Meanwhile, independent MP Honorable Anthony Smith says nobody likes increases, but this one is necessary.
UPP led a campaign when I was still in secondary school on the importance of tax. We must pay taxes, that's what they said. ABST was introduced. Personal income tax was introduced. And the slogan and the campaign was, people must pay taxes to develop their country.
The bill now moves to the Senate. Once passed, it will head to the Governor General for his assent before becoming law. Jamie J. O'Shea, ABS News.